Hey Paul, welcome to the stuntydm. I am 𝐿𝐴, the stuntydm. This is a Foundry video in regards to looking at not really a comparison, but different ways of applying conditions in 5th edition D&D. So our two modules I'm looking at today, one is Combat Utility Belt, the other one is Dfred's Convenient Effects, and showing you the different ways that they both work and apply stuff. Apply conditions. So I'm going to show you Combat Utility Belt first, or CUB, and I will go through the settings for it, the basic look of it. I'll show you how to import a set of custom conditions. I'll show you how they will look and how you can then be applied to tokens. Then I'll switch over to Convenient Effects and I'll show you similar. So let's jump into CUB. So first to know about CUB, or Combat Utility Belt. It is not one thing, so it's not just conditions. So you can see here has their different options. You can find these options here in the settings menu, and you got all these options under Combat Utility Belt. One we would pay attention to is enhanced conditions. You can see here, so we've got the to actually enable it, output to chat, output during combat, remove default, suppress preventative, save reminder. So these will have different methods underneath what they all do. Quite straightforward really. The one that's probably important is this remove default effects and the enable it. The reason we do this is normally if you right click on a token and go to the effects tab, you'll get this massive list of random icons. Those all are built into Foundry as different options, and I'm sure all of us have come across it at some point when trying to apply effects. Trying to find the right one is impossible because you gotta like either know what it looks like perfectly, or hover over and find which one, and there's a big bunch of them. So this just removes all those and puts just the 5e ones on here. You see here it all makes it nice straightforward. And the other thing that comes built in with Combat Utility Belt is Triggler. Triggler is a pretty cool feature. It allows you to set parameters for a condition to be applied to a token. I'm not going too much into that on this, but it is quite a useful feature. As you can see, I've got existing triggers here, and these are, for example, I want an effect. So don't actually set the effect here, you set the trigger here. So you can specify what the trigger is and how the trigger works. So obviously on here I've got attributes hit points is greater than 0, and I specified it for PCs and NPCs differently. Hit points and same. What they do are you can apply them to here, and you give a list of all the triggers. You got one to apply the trigger and one to remove the trigger. It allows you to apply those features automatically, which is quite cool. So this is Conditions Lab. This is where you set up your conditions in CUB. As you can see, these are the standard 5e ones that comes built in package with it. So you have your icon, which is located there, the name of the condition, and this part is compendium. So this allows you to basically link it to a compendium or journal entry, pop it in here, and when the condition is applied, you get this effect. It's little pop-up. So let me just show you. If I apply blinded, see, so what's happened is it's applied blinded onto them. It's announced into chat that blind's been applied, and it gives me the icon for it and a little book. I click on this link and it pops open the journal entry just so I can see what it is on there, and if I remove it, it will announce into chat that it has been removed. So that's the basis of them. So this button here is the effects tab. So this allows you to set parameters and effects to your condition itself. These are more useful if you are using automation. So things like MIDI QOL, these are really useful for, because you can set flags for MIDI and tell it that when this condition is active on a token, apply these. So for example with blinded, you can have it apply a flag that says target will have disadvantage on attack rolls, and targets attacking it will have advantage on attack rolls whilst this condition is active. You can things like that. If you're not doing the automation, you don't need to worry about it. These really won't have any impact on you if you're not doing that kind of automation. It just needs a way to trigger them, and you can see you got custom ones at the bottom. So you just literally add a row, complete the effect and whatever you need to, and apply it like that. You delete it, example like that. You have system default, custom, and imported exported. So I'm going to import one of mine. Okay, so so this is one I've pulled from my cursor Strad game, and this is legit. All it is a JSON file. You import it, and you'll see here, look, these are now all effects that have been brought into the game. So when you do things like any changes, you need to click save mapping, and then for the effects that actually work, you can close it again and open it, and they're all in place. But yeah, so you can import and you can export it, and it'll export it as a JSON. So all these are bound with, I have these set with MIDI because I use MIDI, and these are all a lot of these are custom and different effects. So I have them all like Bless, like Bane. You can see all these effects that I have to be applied to tokens when the effect comes through. You see that some of them have trigger setup. So this is where you set a trigger. So this trigger, for example, so Blooded, is a throwback to 4th edition. I know a lot of people use it. I quite like it. It's an indication of how damaged someone is. So Blooded is basically your 50% hit point mark. Anything below 50%, you are counted as being blooded. I like it. I've been trying to tie it into some mechanics with monsters, making the blooded effect actually have an impact, because it's quite interesting. So I've got it here. Look, so if the hit point value is below 50% or equal or below, it will show us blooded. If it's higher than 50%, the blood effect gets removed. I have them apply to chat, and I also have it apply so that that the overlay effect goes on top. And I have some of them linked to compendiums or journal entries to reflect the stuff. Some of them I don't. So Advantage, I don't have that one. I probably should do, but a lot of time it's automation to have that apply. So yeah, these are my ones, and you can select from the list whichever one you want to use. So on this one, I'm saving like these. Let's show them in action. So if I apply blinded to start right now, because I use MIDI, what should happen? So if I attack with this goal, what you'll see with MIDI's workflow, see, it's automatically rolled with Advantage. And that is because he's blinded. And if we do the converse, and we have start my attack, see, he rolls with disadvantage. Simple as that. And then yeah, you can just remove it. And you can see that it does, when you add the effects to your list, it does apply them on here. So it will automatically bring these icons through onto the menu. The other way you can do things is by adding it to two features. So I think I have guiding bolts set up. Yeah, you can see the effect is applied there. So if I remove that for now, you can go DAE, and there's two ways of setting it up. You can either just drop it on here and you go, okay, well, guiding bolt, I want it to apply Advantage, and it'll apply Advantage that way. Alternatively, you can go guiding bolt there, and then you go into your settings for DAE, scroll down to the macros. Where are we? Ah, we got macros. And you can see you've got combat utility belt, and it will apply. You can choose from a drop down any of these. So if I apply Advantage, now if I give Start Might, it's in 5 foot. Let's try that again, shall we? See if we can get him to hit. There we go. He hits him. If I apply the damage, you'll see now it's applied the guiding bolt effect. It does also, because remove them automatically, because obviously those are brings into effects, it does add the guiding bolt effect and Advantage. The way of getting around that is if you just added advantage instead. Remove that effect and just go apply advantage and save it. One thing to bear in mind, I do not want it to apply on equip because that will apply it to start mate. There we go, we hit him, I apply damage. You can see now it's applied the advantage effect to him. Should remove automatic that quickly. It usually, the way I usually get it set up is to have it apply on like next attack. Obviously those are different settings to be used for another module. That's just to show you them. You can see what it does. It does show you these effects being applied and being removed. You can change it so that these don't actually apply in that manner. You can set it so that there is no basically no, these don't appear into chat. So you can, if you prefer not to have the chat spanned with all these added and removed effects, you just make sure they don't show up. Yeah, that's CUB. CUB is a bit more difficult in setting up if you don't have a preset already built in. So for example, if you don't have the JSON file from someone else, then you have to make your own effects and go in manually and do it, but only if you're doing automation. If you're not, you can just create an effect, name it, and just have it trigger off an ability or apply on there whenever you need to. Either one really. So I'll be back in a moment and I will show you convenient effects and how that module works. So 2 moments. Okay, so we are back and this time we have convenient effects to show you. So the way convenient effects is different. You don't need to go into settings. It is here on this little taskbar. See it's here, add convenient effects, and convenient effects is already created, which is why it's convenient. So for example, conditions, these are already set up. You can hover over them and apply them. So you can have this set out. You can pop it out if you have the pop-out module and just have it set to the side. So when you need to, highlight them and all you do is click and it applies it. See, it applies the icon and also posts in the chat what it does. And again, if I go to the effect and see here, edit the effect, and it's already built for MIDI as well. So if you use 𝐜𝐸𝐜, it is already built into there is a option on MIDI's workflow to have it apply automatically. You would need the effect itself to be named exactly how it is. So you need the feature or attack to be named the exact same as the condition itself. Otherwise, the effect won't be applied. It doesn't pick up any variation in that manner. But you can apply it different ways as before. And for remove, you click and it gets removed. And it posts in the chat. So yeah, that is the only thing I do find with this one. It does post. It's the same as CUB really. See, it just applies the whole text in there rather than just like a little box. It's all down to preference really. But you have all those, and the other thing that's here is they've added all these effects, which is really quite cool. So if I say I have aid, cast aid, and the aid effects in place, you can see that it's got hit point boost. So yeah, you can see that the effects are being applied to him. And then there's like Bane. So if you look at Bane, Bane's been applied, and they've got the timer and everything. So these things are all being set up as they should be. And again, to remove them, just click, and they get removed. Simple as that. But yeah, they've got the spell set up. They've got class features set up. So you can rage. Yeah, you get it's all set up in certain ways. It gives you all how raging works. Do channel divinities. Certain equipment. So if I want to apply a lantern to him, you can see it's adding that effect on, and it tells you here what these things are. So the little bulb icon means it's using active token lighting. which is a different module that is used to change certain features on tokens themselves, things like that. And other effects, so you can add in reactions, ready, sharpshooting. All these things are already baked into the system itself, which is quite nice. And you can add your own custom ones. So I think on here so to make a custom one, you just click create effect, and you get this dialog box pop up, and you literally just go in and fill out the effects as per usual, which I'm sure everyone's used to doing. All the information you need is on here. Yeah, so that's that. So let's take the previous example we had with guiding bolt, and we'll show you guiding bolt being used on here. So remove the effects there. So again, we go DAU, and you can click here, and you can see again it's got all these, but these are just the core effects there, so you can apply all those. If you want to apply something extra, let's go to there. And it's a case of doing this before. Hopefully don't over skip it this time. Traits, flags, macros, and you use convenient effects, and you can select whichever effect you want to have applied. So if let's see, you can find where advantage is. It doesn't seem like it's actually got a set one for advantage, or am I missing it? Okay, so there's not one set for advantage. So remove the previous effects from there. So there is already a spell called Dark Vision built into CE. So all you do is target himself, and then we just go Dark Vision. You can see that it's applied, and it tells you here what's happened, because that effect is baked into CE, which is really quite cool. So yeah, so you can make your own ones as you need. So you could make one that just said guiding bolt, and guiding bolt gives you the advantage marker, or applies advantage, stuff like that. It is really convenient. It does, as it sounds really. It has everything set in, and the guy does build things into it. The only thing to bear in mind with CE is because of the copyright limitations, it can only ever include SRD stuff. They can't include extra things. You would have to create those effects yourself, which you've seen is easy enough. So if you want to create an effect, it's not too dissimilar to CUB. It's literally there, fill out the details, apply as you need to, as if you're making a usual effect. But yeah, because of the requirements with the SRD, they can't include anything not. So if you've got anything from Tashes or Strixhaven or anything like that, you would have to manually input those and add it to the list. Obviously they'll show under custom effects yourself. Other than that, it is, as it sounds, very convenient. Click, works. So which one would you choose? Personally, it's preference. It completely comes down to which one do you prefer, which one is more useful. Yes, it comes down to which one you prefer and you find easier for you to work with. If you want to set it all up yourself, then I would say maybe CUB's probably better for you. And if you want the automation effect of like Triggler working, CE doesn't have that effect, so you would have to manually mark that token as blooded every time you want it to apply. Not a big deal. You have the box floating open, maybe on another screen off to the side, and you go, okay, they hit 50%, hit, applies. Otherwise, you just, as it is, you have it like that. Personally, I've been using CUB more. It's the older one. It's the one I've been used to for ages, and as you see, I've got loads of things set up on it. Spells I tend to build into the item itself rather than have the effect condition off the side. Generally, not all of them. As you see, I've got like blast and stuff like that as a condition. It just comes down to how you want to have it set. Yeah, there's really much else to say. They both do the same job, slightly different ways, but either way you get a condition applied. You get either a general link entry or pop-up a post in the chat telling you what that effect does, and it happens on addition and removal. One thing I noticed with CE, doesn't appear to have the effects to remove. So we got the options here, so you can have it integrate with Token Magic, ATL, which is one that allows you to change lights and stuff like that. You can replace the effects. There's this new module as well, which is quite nice. It's not particularly showing on here at the moment. They've added this, which I found quite useful. Yeah, my UI is hiding it. I think it's probably because I've got a mod for the UI and that's changing things, but if I minimize, you can see what it does is when you click on a token, it gives you a little dialogue on the side to tell you what it looks like, what effect has been applied to it. So if I literally just go, so I can apply these and you'll see it will show the active ones, so you can literally highlight and go, okay, right, yeah, so I've got inspiration, and just hover over them. Unfortunately, because the module I have, I'm not sure if it's widened the margin, it does hide it off. I can't see it without minimizing, but if you don't use a UI module, this is actually really quite cool. I do like this quite a bit. You can see them on there rather than having to go to the character sheet and go, oh, what's active on them? Okay, cool. I can literally just hover over and it does change from token to token. So I've got him selected. Cool. Right, he's blinded, he's exhausted, he's invisible, and he's got Bardic Inspiration, which personally I think is really quite cool. But yeah, so you can see here, so it shows what you've rolled, and you can choose to add Bardic Inspiration to it, which I think is actually a really nice feature. I've not seen that work in CUB. I'm assuming it uses the same as the macros for it. But yeah, that is quite nice to show you that, and it applies Bardic Inspiration, which is really nice to have that kind of coded into it. You don't have to worry too much about it, and you just apply that Bardic Inspiration to people. But yeah, so that's the two of them. It is 100% choice. Use whichever one you like. Sorry, it's got a little bit weird and rambly at the end because there's not really much to say about them both. They do different things, but they do the same thing in slightly different ways. And it is such a case of which one do you prefer. Simple as. There is no big, massive comparison, or this one's better at doing all these things. Someone's just gone in and built a load of effects already and made it so that it is a one-click apply and one-click remove. Beautiful. That's a big thing. Whereas CUB has the trigger ability, so you can trigger these effects on. A bit more finicky. And I would say, the last point of this rambly mess, CUB probably has a higher learning curve if you want to automate things, because you need to know what the flags are and where to get them from. So you'll find yourself having the way I built mine was going to DAE, having that pop open, finding the flags on there, because you can't get all those flag stuff on CUB. So if you get the drop down menu, you can see on DAE what you're playing, and then copy and paste the code into CUB and apply it that way. It's the way I got around doing it. But I will upload somewhere my CUB import or export, so you can apply it as you wish if you want to use CUB. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching and listening to this ramble of a mess of stuff. Right, thanks a lot for listening, and I will catch you on the next video.